on this episode of the Grannies.
In the middle class, most people hope that they'll be able to have their savings last until they die and don't want to become dependent on their children for emotional reasons and also for cultural reasons.
The African and the Asian cultures. Adult children are often expected to support aging parents, period.
What? Yeah. That's a much better culture. This country has never dealt with the people who are not succeeding for one reason or another. We've taken money out of education, we've taken money out of food, and that is one of the many great flaws of American culture. What it does on the family side is to make everybody feel awful.
Welcome to the Grannies, everyone, a podcast where we honor the women whose stories have shaped generations. I'm your host, Adesewa Josh, and I'm so excited to begin this journey of legacy, memory, and healing with one of the most extraordinary grandmothers I know.
Oh, thank you. I'm Jane Isay, author, grandmother, and lifelong listener to Family Secrets and to Family Wisdom. I'm thrilled to be on this journey with Adesewa as we create a space where older women, especially grandmothers, can speak openly about what they've lived, what they've learned, and how they hope to leave a wonderful legacy behind.
Well, we believe that sharing these stories can heal families, inspire communities, and remind us that aging is not decline, it's death. So we invite you to join us on this beautiful journey.
Hello and welcome to the Grannies. I am Adesewa Josh.
And I'm Jane Isay.
We would like to thank you for joining us once again. I have been going through Spotify comments and the comments have been really encouraging.
Yes.
Somebody told us the story of how she was so blessed by just having her grandmother stay with her, with the family before she died. That was a really, really lovely story. And there's a couple more there just hailing us on and telling us what we're doing is really important. And that's so encouraging to us.
That's wonderful.
We would like you to please keep the comments coming. Tell your neighbors about it, tell your friends, tell your family, and most importantly, subscribe and share. All right, so today, guess what our topic is gonna be? I'm gonna read it out loud for you. Today, we're gonna be talking about money.
Root of all evil.
Oh my goodness, money, independence, and family obligation across cultures. Now, somewhere in the world, a grandmother assumes her children will take care of her. In another place in the world, the grandmother goes, I don't want to be a burden. I'm just fine. Both of them believe that they are protecting their dignity.
Yes, and their autonomy, and in some way they're protecting their children.
But the question is, which one actually works?
And I would say they both work.
Oh, great. So before we go deeper, let's set the stage very quickly.
Yeah.
Money is a very delicate subject everywhere. And I want to say thank you, Granny Jane, for allowing us to talk about it. Nobody wants to talk about it. Everybody wants to assume about it. And we're speaking in the context of family here, like how money moves through generations, the relationship that families have with money, especially when we have older adults. Who pays for grandma when we go to the restaurant? I mean, grandma is rich. Can she just pay for all of us? Whatever, like this weird question.
It also has a tremendously symbolic aspect.
Yes.
So if you imagine a dollar bill, instead of the president in the center, put the heart in the center.
Oh my God.
It also means love. And it means attention. And it means affection. And it means fairness.
And it also means power. It means control. It means
power, control, and it means anger. It means.
I mean, money can mean a lot, no?
It means everything. It changes shape.
I want to take our minds back to Social Security, which was introduced in 1935 under President Franklin D. Roosevelt during the Great Depression. It was designed as a safeguard for the elderly, protection against poverty in old age. Over time, this created a cultural shift. Parents and grandparents became less financially dependent on their children.
Yes.
Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Well, what happened was the government decided that it would insure all the salaried workers so that they had a nest egg when they retired or when they turned 65. And it would be doled out according to a formula. But it meant that if you worked and you paid taxes, you were also saving. It wasn't a lot of money out of your paycheck, but it mounts up over time. And so it was a way of protecting the aged, from the poverty that everybody was living in. It wasn't just that the children weren't helping. Nobody had any money then.
Talk to us a little bit more about what America was like before Social Security was introduced, in terms of how families navigated poverty, supported each other, who bought what for who, like how did you, because there are no hard and fast rules.
There were no rules. Well, I'll tell you about my mother.
Mm-hmm.
She was born in 1902.
Wow.
In Vienna. She was brought through Ellis Island on her mother's hip. She was a little girl. And her mother was able to purchase on time a sewing machine. And she sewed pants. She would get the cloth that was already cut, and she sewed pants for a penny a pair.
Was that big money then? No.
It was nothing. There was, and then my grandfather followed her some years later, so the sewing machine went 18 hours a day, pedal. They didn't have enough money for anything. Then when my mother and her sisters were old enough, which is called 6, they went to work after school. My Aunt Bertie sold candy in a movie theater. A little girl with a box with candies in it, and she got a nickel a week. My mother, everybody worked after school. My mother, I found the yearbooks of my mother's high school,
Mm-hmm.
and they have the clubs. They have the girls, and the clubs. The rich girls were in the clubs. The poor girls weren't there. They were working after school. And if they got paid that day, they could buy food. Which they could get from the push carts, and then somebody at home would cook it, a very late dinner. And if they didn't have enough food, if they didn't have what you might want to eat, they would have potatoes. You would always get very, very cheap. Now, during the World War I, there was inflation. And the women on the Lower East Side, where my mother lived, at one point they attacked the pushcart owners because potatoes had gone from 6 cents to 8 cents a pound. And the women said, we can't feed our family. It was called the Women's Revolution or something, because the mothers couldn't feed their children, their families, because of the increased price, because you get inflation when you have a war, because the army needs the food and they'll pay a higher price. So that's what happened. And the poverty also got community. Now here's a story of poverty and community. In this period on the Lower East Side of New York, people couldn't pay the rent. They'd get evicted. So they would be sitting on the street, on the sidewalk, with their parcels. They didn't have suitcases. They had parcels where they had tied up because they had to move. And very often they would put a teacup saucer on top of the parcels, and passersby would put a penny in the teacup to help their neighbors so that they could find a roof over their heads. Lower East Side was the densest population in the world at the time. And there were more people than there were beds. And so people rented 8 hours of a bed. And the people, in order to meet the rent, they would rent out their bed to somebody who would pay money for the bed. And they would rotate 8 hours, and then the people at home would get 8 hours of their own. My mother slept in a bed with her 4 sisters, head to toe, head to toe. So this was the world they lived in. The thing that saved her and my father, he had older brothers and sisters who were working. My father was the next youngest of 8, so the brothers were already working. The minute the men went to work, they contributed. They lived. They couldn't afford to live in another house. They all lived together and they all helped pay the bills. If you are in a family where you all are taking care of each other, you're going to be annoyed. You're going to be short-tempered. You're going to be jealous of who gets what.
Yes.
So there's a whole lot of negative. Nothing is ever simple. People from my parents were glad to have food.
Let alone, and elderly parents often directly rely on their families. They rely.
Absolutely, everybody lived together.
So it was not a weird thing to rely on your family.
It was how you lived. And my grandparents on my mother's side died in the flu epidemic of 1918, and they left her. She was older, with 5 sisters. Who was going to take care of the sisters? She did. And when she got married to my father, they moved in with my mother.
Look at the world right now. Look at the Western culture right now.
Yes.
Would you say that's still a thing? This is still being practiced. You're much older now, so you're in a position to be taken care of. Well, how would you judge how the society has turned out?
I think the problem is that the society has always turned its face from poverty. As the middle class grew, and the parents not only had security, but had some wealth. They had a house, maybe had 1 car, house and a car, gotta have it. House and a car when I was growing up, a joke. We never faced and never dealt with, this country has never dealt with the people who are not succeeding for one reason or another. We've taken money out of education, we've taken money out of food, and that is one of the great flaws, that is the single great flaw, one of many great flaws of American culture. What it does on the family side is to make everybody feel awful. One of the things I've learned, one of the small trends, many trends I've learned, is that in many communities, the parents pick up the children from school and take them home. Remember, 2 career families. Mama is working too. And there's nobody to pick up the kids. So they pick up the kids from school. It ruins their day because they can't do things they have to be up early in the morning to get them to school, and in the middle of the afternoon pick them up. And there comes a time in many families where there's not a lot of money. So the parents are considering asking the children to pay them to pick up the children, or at least to pay for the gas.
Is it culturally uncomfortable now with everything that's going on and everything you've described after Social Security and how somehow things have changed culturally among families in the West, in America, to expect financial support from adult children?
I think in the middle class, most people hope that they'll be able to have their savings last until they die, and don't want to become dependent on their children for emotional reasons and also for cultural reasons.
Yeah.
But they do want to be close to their children. The question for many middle class people is, how much do I leave? Who do I leave it to? And how much do I give them if there's any money left over? A little bit. So and it's a back and forth. I can tell you that so in my experience, when you have a grandchild, there's your family and the in-laws, right? And everybody gets a Fitbit on their wrist, which calculates how much time the in-laws get with the baby and how much time we get with the baby.
Interesting.
And that same Fitbit is on every child's wrist. How much am I getting? And how much is my brother getting? What is they doing for my sister? And that is being counted all your life. It begins not with money, it begins with cookies.
Yeah.
And you will find, interestingly enough, young kids say that's not fair. Their sense of fairness is somewhat used when they're seeing who's getting what at the kitchen table. That's just an aside.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Well, it is, and I like the emphasis on in middle class, because safety nets function differently for working class families
Absolutely.
versus wealthy families.
Absolutely.
Do you have any
Well,
insight?
There's just no comparison. And it's not, my worry isn't the difference between the wealthy and the middle class. My worry is poverty, because that's where we have all the work to do. And people during COVID, it was the poor people who had relatives who died.
Yeah, mostly.
So that's, I think that in the middle class, there is plenty of room for your family values, for your interpersonal, and for your sense of responsibility. Now, in many families, charity is a very important thing.
Even in middle class, I know a few middle class
Absolutely,
people. Yeah,
poor.
it wasn't about whether they had or not. It was just they were brought up to give.
Absolutely, and in Jewish family, there's a box that sits on the table, and you put money, tzedakah, you put money in it, and before the Sabbath, before you can light the candles, you have to give charity.
I want us to switch gears a little bit to compare. I said we're going to compare the African and the Asian cultures. So in these two cultures, there is a simple understanding. And I think it cuts across class also, based on my research. Adult children are often expected to support aging parents, period.
What?
Yeah. Nobody cares whether you have or not. So the day you were born, your parents would do God sees their heart, they would give you everything.
They can, yes.
Yes. It's happening at the back of their heads that when they get older, nobody else is coming to take care of them. You are going to do it. So care is beyond money. Money is there. Attention is there. Emotional support is there. Girl, as you were born, you are already, having in the back of your mind that you're going to support your parents.
It's called socialized security.
Absolutely. And this multi-generational living is very common.
Yes.
Now it's a little less, but even the little less part of it, those who are not practicing it, look like you dumped your parents somewhere.
What?
Yeah. So you don't do it. And care is communal. It is not outsourced. And
wow.
Yeah. So
But that's a much better culture.
Yeah, like you said, there is no good or bad.
Right.
Okay? Because even the wealthy, especially the wealthy parents, the wealthy ones in Africa, the mother will be in the home. So when you're marrying the guy, you are marrying him with his mother. So for example, if I marry a wealthy African, my mother would have to talk to me about how to make peace with my mother-in-law.
Yes.
It comes with the training, because it's like, well, you're going in there's another woman in there. Well, because it's something that everyone had to be trained to go through. You don't have a choice, which is insane.
But there's a similarity in American culture.
Really?
Which is within the different subclasses. You have a snooty mother-in-law, and your mother is going to teach you how to deal with this snooty lady.
Yeah, because
you got to get along with her.
You got to get along with her.
And you may have to learn how to set the table properly.
Oh my God.
With where the spoons go. I'm
Girl.
sorry. It's true.
So, but then it turns out that the reason why we have that adult children expected to take care of supporting aging parents, and this care is not communal perspective to society, is because in sub-Saharan Africa, only between 17 and 22% of elderly people receive any kind of formal pensions. Yeah, any kind of formal pensions. My mother doesn't have a pension, as it is. I am her pension. I am her, myself and my siblings, we are her retirement plan.
Yes.
And so the statistics alone explains a lot. You know, when the state safety net is thin, the family automatically becomes the safety net.
It is.
And it has become an honor. It is actually an honor code in our culture. You must do. And then when you do it, you know, parents then they pride themselves that when they pray for you.
Yeah.
I honestly, sometimes I'm like, I can pray for myself, but God forgive me. But it's true, but because you go in and then you present, in fact, to a point where there's some families, some people believe that the very first salary they get from any job, you go and give it to your mom. You give everything to her, then she gives you whatever percentage she wishes to give back to you. That's I'm telling you, this is real. This is real stuff.
It's beautiful.
This is real stuff.
But this used to happen in poverty in here.
Really?
Yes.
So it's like you're invoking the blessing of the woman who bore you, struggled through their own. Imagine raising kids in the times that you've described for me. That is insanity. So we have that sense of commitment and all of that. Some parents, there have been some crazy stories. I wish I have them. I have the permission to tell them on this podcast of how some parents actually milk that social thing. You know, some irresponsible parents who suddenly their kids, for some reason, through hard work and sheer determination, become something in life, and suddenly they show up, I'm your parents, give me that. And you see these kids rebelling and saying, no, you weren't there for me. But let me tell you, when they take that situation into the court of public opinion, people somehow side the parents in my culture.
Yes, good.
No, not good. But my point is, we have that code and everyone feels a sense of we're committed to it. So my question for you is, what do you think about this culture of reciprocity? Regardless of your class.
I think that love and responsibility and care are, they're written on our hearts. They're not printed on paper, money paper.
True.
And we have different ways of showing, of caring. Governments have different ways of taking care of people. Mm-hmm. We saw in the COVID the difference between European countries that have much more universal health care. Mm-hmm. We lost more people because of that. Mm-hmm. So it's both, it's government, it's family, it's class, and it's culture.
Government, family, class, culture, I love that.
Yes, and each of them plays a role. And then the whole thing is strung on the necklace of your life story. Did they help you when you needed it? What about this? What about that? Why didn't they do this when they could have? Why do I have to do this now? I use different voices. Everybody in the family has all these questions. And we have to figure them out every morning. And 3 times a day we ask ourselves the questions about what's the meaning of our lives and how are we using our lives well.
At what point does obligation become burden?
Well, if you have to make a choice between helping your children and helping your parents, that's a burden.
True.
And so when you have to choose either or, it's always a burden. Mm-hmm. Now, grandparents may not appreciate how their children spend money on the grandchildren. It's the same thing. Where they eat, what they eat. There's a whole lot of stuff of judgment about meals. I bet it's true in all cultures. And it's always, there's none of this is easy. It's a burden to have to, if it's a financial burden that causes pain and loss to take care of your parents, that's a problem. If the safety net works, then there's an emotional problem. What is best is if everybody in the family can manage to take their ego out of it. And when mama is helping the children, she is not saying, why do I have to do this? And what's the matter? You know, there are a lot of grown children who are having trouble. They're not working. They're at home. There's this whole, now because of the economy, there's a whole lot of stuff that people hadn't experienced for a while. And you could be, many parents say, what did I do wrong? Where did I go wrong that Philip is not doing so well?
Right.
So it's all too complicated. It's not one or the other.
One size fits all.
But I can tell you that one of the saving graces is the grandchildren, because they love us and we love them no matter what. And the fact that if we can be in the family, if we are part of their lives, that is what helps raise them. Doesn't take money, it takes a hug. That is what they remember. So many people say, you know, a college essay, who's the person who influenced you most? Most kids want to write about grandma or grandpa. Don't write about that because there are too many people writing about that. Okay, but our impact on the next generation is so precious that whatever sacrifices we need to make to have access to those children, I think is worth it.
That's right. And so as we wrap this up, I want you to talk to us about the power of reciprocity, which is, it could be in form of money. It's more like looking back to the womb that carried you, to the hand that fed you, to the soul that nurtured you, not because they had everything figured out, but they did it out of, they've had you, they have a responsibility towards you. I mean, you're gonna have your own kids and you're gonna have responsibilities to them, but like reciprocity lets you look back to where you're coming from. So I want you to talk to us about it. Does reciprocity strengthen intergenerational bonds?
It's a very good question. I have a story.
Yes. Tell.
So I have a hard time taking advice and help from my children, asking for it, because I'm shy about it. I feel that I don't deserve it. I know how busy they are. All of the reasons that you don't ask for help. It's also a sin of autonomy. I don't want to be told what to do. So I'm not, and recently, one of my sons, I told him a story about how people had helped me, strangers had helped me get from here to there because I was having trouble walking. And he said, it's a wonderful story, Mom, but it makes me angry. Why? He said, because you could have called me. And I said, but honey. And he said, you take such pleasure helping others. Won't you give me the gift of helping you?
It's a beautiful story.
It's beautiful. It took many years of back and forth. And it's a beautiful, and if we could figure out a way to give without ego and to take without ego, it's a wonderful thing. And we also need to be fully appreciative of their love. And even if they don't call you when you feel like a phone call.
So when grannies can no longer make a living,
Yeah.
what should be the structure? There's no hard and fast rule.
Well, The structure should be that there is money somewhere to take care of her, him, them. Either they've saved it or you have Social Security. It used to be people could live on their Social Security. Not well, but survive. So, and we have to have safety nets. And I don't think there's one answer. And I think my answer is insufficient.
I know. And you said we have to have safety nets. Should children be one of those options?
Absolutely. But it should be an option, not the only option.
Do you mind framing that in a direct sentence? Do you think children should be one of the safety nets
Absolutely.
Of aging?
One of the safety net possibilities for elders are their grown children. But there are a lot of unknowns that have to be factored in. How they get along, who's who, where they live, all of those factors. And I think that, and then of course you get to the point where grandma and grandpa have to go into a facility. Mm-hmm. And that, at the moment, that can take everybody's life savings, and that's not fair either.
A very, very tough balance.
Life is that, it's both and. Nothing is easy. I'm sorry. That's what makes our podcast so interesting, because nothing is easy.
Yes.
It's always complicated.
It is always complicated. And money is never just about money, to be honest.
Never.
It's about dignity. It's about power. It's about control. It's about love. It's about fear. Look at all this.
It's about anger. We have a nursing home crisis in this country, as you know. Mm-hmm. And I have a friend from high school who moved herself into a facility. She's living alone, and she's the librarian of the place. She loves it there. And she said to me a couple of weeks ago, moving into this facility was the best decision I ever made in my life, including my 2 husbands.
Look at that.
So you just never know.
You just never know, actually.
And that's one of the things that makes life interesting. You never know.
Well, on that note, thank you everybody for listening to this edition of the Grannies.
Thank you.
I feel like this money conversation is going to bring up a lot of emotions and a lot of reflection.
Please.
Do not hesitate to let us know what you're thinking. Please disagree with me. As she said, I'm super judgmental about this money thing.
And I am too easy. So between the two of us, there's something to complain about, both of us.
Absolutely.
But there's also your story. And your story has years to be told, to be experienced. And that story is precious to you, to your children, and to the grandchildren. So don't lose your story.
Keep that story. Tell it, most importantly. Thank you for watching, everybody. We will see you in the next episode. And oh, by the way, if there's any topic you would like us to discuss, comment section.
Absolutely.
Send us an email at thegrannies.podcast.
Spotify.
Check us out on Spotify, and we will see you soon.
Bye.
Thank you for coming on the ride with us. Jane and I would like to hear from you. Please send your comments to thegrannies.podcast@gmail.com. thegrannies.podcast@gmail.com. You can listen to the Grannies podcast on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcast, or wherever you get your podcasts.